It's Halloween and I'm reading Slender for you guys. Here goes. Dinky Hooves was the first to disappear. It was days before Derpy was calm enough to tell the investigators any details at all of the events leading up to her daughter's vanishing. She wasn't able to recall any strange ponies hanging around or any strange behavior from the little unicorn. There seemed to be only one clue, a nightmare that Dinky had dreamed 3 days prior to her disappearance. The horrible nightmare had caused the normally quiet filly to awaken, screaming at the top of her lungs. Once Derpy had calmed her, the crying child had spoken of an impossibly skinny stallion, who seemed to have no face on his stark white head. She'd talked about how he'd seemed to be gesturing towards the ever-free forest, and how he'd reach for her with tentacles that stretched from his black coat. 1 week later, Rarity's parents burst into their eldest daughter's home in hysterics. Sweetibel had received the same dream. The authorities scoffed and said that it was a simple case of the child dreaming things she'd heard the adult ponies discussing. They assured the parents and Ponyville as a whole that there was no link and no danger. Sweetibel disappeared 3 days later. Snips was the next to have the nightmare, and Twilight Sparkle spearheaded the investigation on orders from Princess Celestia herself. She analyzed Snip's recollection for clues, but it soon became clear that there were no clues to be found. His dream was the same as Dinky's, the same as Sweetibel's. The tall, long stallion with no face and a dark coat. Special security was posted at the rotund young colt's home, and every pony in town breathed a sigh of relief when the sun rose after the third night. Snip's mother's screams let every pony know that they had failed once again. A week passed and Snails was gone, following in the hooves of his closest friend and vanishing into the void. The populace of Ponyville began to lose its collective mind. School was cancelled until further notice, and the little ponies were barred from leaving their houses unless accompanied by an adult. Suspicious glances were cast this way, and that as suspected neighbor of the heinous phone napping. Rumors began to spread. Gilda the Griffon was taking her long-anticipated revenge. Oh, it was revenge, all right, but it was the great and powerful Trixie's magic at work, making the children disappear. What about the Diamond Dogs? Were they spiriting the young ones down into their underground abyss? The fear and unrest grew, and as it grew, an almost tangible shade of darkness began to cast itself across the quiet town. The shade grew and grew and grew, far past the borders of the town proper, all the way to the borders of the farm that lay on the town outskirts. Applejack. Macintosh pushed his way into his little sister's room without knocking, trusting that she would be decent. There she was, piling supplies into her saddlebags. "No one in a high, are you?" "I'm going after her, Mac." The tone in his sister's voice gave Macintosh a pause. "Like hell you are!" He crossed the room and pushed the saddlebags off the bed and onto the floor. The contents spilled. Bowls of water, fresh apples, plenty of rope, oil, and a lantern. She was going into the woods. She was going after Apple Bloom. "AJ, stop. This is crazy." "What's crazy is that you've already given up on her. She's your kind, your baby sister for Celestia's sake." "And it tears me apart that she's gone. But she's gone, Applejack. Gone! She's not coming back. The sooner we accept that." Applejack sniffed and pushed her supplies back into the saddlebag. "Yeah, you do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to get her back." "AJ." She left him there, still protesting her departure. She passed Granny Smith in her rocker on the porch. The ancient earth pony had taken Apple Bloom's vanishing especially hard, and hadn't left her chair since. She has sat and stared towards the ever-free forest in silence. I'll bring her back, Granny, I swear. She took a deep breath and started downstairs. "'Tain't the first time this has happened." Granny's voice stalled her. She turned slowly and found the old mare still looking towards the woods. "What?" "Way back when I was a filly, barely more than a baby, I remember my ma and pa talking about children having bad dreams. Dreams about a stallion with no face. Few days after the dream, the children vanished. That's why we kept moving. We were trying to get away from that awful spectre. Celestia lead us here, gave us this land, and we thought we'd be safe under her watchful eye. I guess it found us in the end, though." "Granny, what is it?" "Don't know. Whatever it is, it's old. Older than the goddesses. Older than Equestria itself. It has no conscience, no emotions, only an insatiable hunger, a never-ending urge to feed." What does it eat?" "Fear. It feeds on fear. And children." Applejack shuddered and faced the woods. Is there anything else I need to know?" "Don't be afraid. Your fear will only make it bolder. And if you see it, run. Run as fast as you can. And most important of all, never, ever look back." Applejack nodded and started walking. "I'll be back, Granny. Just you wait. I'll be back, and I'll have her with me. I swear." Her brisk pace had carried her so far, so fast, that she never heard Granny Smith's reply. "Goodbye, Applejack." "Goodbye." Her teeth wrapped around the handle of the lit lantern, the young farmer trod carefully down the beaten path. Night had long since fallen, and any available moonlight was silenced by the overgrown branches above her. The only light came from the lantern's beam. There were no animal noises, save crickets, and the only other noise came from the small twigs that snapped beneath her hooves. Exhaustion came for her, and she started looking for a clearing in which to set up camp. Then she saw the note on the tree. At first she paid it no mind, thinking it to be some figment of her imagination. The closer she got, however, the clearer it became. What is more, even in the dim light she recognized the childish scrawl.